At this point, we have looked at what are classification trees. Once you have a classification tree, how do you apply it to perform classifications? And then we looked at the intuitions guiding the construction of classification trees, the importance of sample size and the importance of purity. And then we looked at how to objectively measure the impurity or purity of a node and how to convert that into the purity or impurity of the entire tree. And then we looked at an example in which we apply all these principles. Okay, so at this point we have looked at the entire process, other than of course seeing how to code all of this in the computer. We'll come to that shortly. We've looked at the whole process. Okay, so let's just look at one more final thing before we close this out, and that is, if you want to apply the technique of classification trees, what kind of predictor and target attributes do you need? Okay, attribute types needed for using classification trees. Of course, we are doing classification, so the target attribute has to be categorical, cannot be numerical. Okay, now trees can handle numerical attributes as well, but those are called regression trees. We'll look at them later in the course. Talking only about classification trees, obviously the target has to be categorical. Okay, how about the predictors? Okay, now the beauty is in classification trees, all we are concerned about is splitting the number of cases into buckets. Okay, so anything that supports splitting into buckets is fine. The example we saw, obviously the predictors were numerical and they clearly supported splitting into buckets. So that worked beautifully. Okay, however, even if the predictor attribute is nominal, in other words, even if it is categorical, that can still support splitting, right? So for example, you could split on gender equals F. Okay, meaning all the cases for which gender equals F, they go in one way and all the other cases go the other way. So fine, you can split based on numbers, you can split based on categories. So predictors can be either numerical or nominal or categorical, no problem. Both of them are supported. Okay, so the compatible attribute types are target has to be categorical, predictors can be anything. Okay, so these are the requirements for classification trees. Okay, if you have a target attribute which is not categorical, then obviously you cannot use classification trees, but you can still use regression trees. We'll look at that later.